You open your eyes, the alarm is going off, but no one else is moving. You check your phone, no signal. You turn on the TV, static. You walk outside and call out. Nothing calls back. Every single human being on Earth, 8.1 billion people, vanished overnight. And you are completely, utterly alone. Now here's the question that should terrify you. You have no injuries, no disease. You slept fine. You feel perfectly healthy. So what kills you first? The answer isn't what you think. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at a light switch the same way again. In this video, we're going to walk through exactly what happens to a single human body left on an abandoned Earth. And the answer is deeply uncomfortable. And we're going to explain why. But stay until the 7-minute mark. Because there's one threat on this list that almost everyone overlooks. And it might be the most dangerous of all. The clock is already ticking. Let's start the countdown. The very first thing to go isn't food or water, it's the electrical grid. Modern power grids require continuous human management. Load balancers must be adjusted in real time. Cooling systems need monitoring. Automated systems can handle minor fluctuations, right? But without human operators, the grid becomes unstable within hours. Studies of past blackouts show cascading failures can collapse entire regional grids in under 24 hours once automated protections start tripping. Without a grid, water treatment plants stop pumping. Hospitals lose backup power within days. Traffic systems fail. And that grocery store you were counting on? Its refrigeration units go dead before sunrise tomorrow. No electricity means no running water in any building above the first floor. Water pressure requires electric pumps. It means no heat in winter, no cooling in summer, and no way to communicate with, well, no one. So within 24 hours, no power, no water pressure, no refrigerated food. Now what? The human body can survive roughly 3 days without water. That sounds like plenty of time. It isn't. With the grid down, municipal water treatment stops. Within days, unchlorinated water sitting in pipes begins growing bacterial colonies. Legionella, E. coli, Cryptosporidium. The pipes that were protecting you are now incubating pathogens. So, you head to a river or lake. Makes sense. But here's what most people don't know. Without functioning water treatment facilities upstream, industrial runoff, agricultural chemicals and biological waste have been quietly contaminating freshwater sources for decades, contained only by active treatment. The moment that treatment stops, the contamination timeline accelerates. You need to boil water. But boiling requires fire, and fire requires fuel. And fuel, well, let's come back to that. Meanwhile, dehydration begins affecting cognition within just a few hours of fluid loss. Bad decisions in a survival scenario kill faster than dehydration itself. So, you've solved the water problem. Barely. But while you were figuring out water, something else just got a lot more dangerous. The human body can survive 3 weeks without food. So food is not your immediate problem, but it becomes a massive long-term problem fast. Canned goods in a typical grocery store could theoretically feed one person for months. The challenge isn't inventory, it's access and transport. Without fuel to power vehicles over the long term, your foraging radius is limited to how far you can walk. And here's something that will blow your mind. Within one growing season, the absence of human agricultural management would render most farmland unusable. Irrigation channels fail. Seed stores rot. Domesticated crops, which have been selectively bred for thousands of years to require human intervention, cannot survive without us. Within a year or two, most of the cultivated food supply is gone. What remains is what nature provides. And nature is not generous to a single untrained human. But none of this matters if threat number 4 gets you first. Solitary confinement is considered torture by international human rights standards, not because of physical deprivation, but because prolonged isolation destroys the human mind. Studies on castaways, solo sailors, and isolated prisoners show that psychosis can begin within days for some individuals and within weeks for almost everyone. Hallucinations, paranoia, complete breakdown of time perception, inability to make rational decisions. Here's the cruel irony: the very skill set you need to survive, problem solving, risk assessment, planning, is the first thing to degrade when you're isolated. The brain literally stops functioning efficiently without social input. People underestimate this because we think of survival as a physical challenge. But your mind will betray you faster than your body. And once your decision-making is compromised, every other threat on this list becomes lethal. So the grid is gone. Water is dangerous. Food is running out. Your mind is starting to fracture. And we haven't even gotten to the biggest threat yet. A broken bone, an infected cut, a burst appendix, a kidney stone, a diabetic episode. In a world with 8 billion people and modern medicine, these are inconveniences or manageable conditions. Alone on Earth, they are death sentences. The average person takes 9.5 prescription medications per year. Insulin, blood pressure medication, psychiatric medication, immunosuppressants. Without a supply chain, chronic conditions that were invisible become immediately fatal within days or weeks. And for everyone else, it only takes one injury, one infection, one unlucky moment without antibiotics. A scratch that gets dirty can kill you from sepsis in under a week. By day 30, statistically, the average person has experienced at least one injury requiring medical care. Alone, with no care available, that's a terminal event. Here's the one nobody talks about. Right now, there are 440 operating nuclear reactors across 32 countries. Every single one of them requires active cooling, continuously, indefinitely. Without human operators, automated safety systems would scram, emergency shutdown, most reactors within hours. That's the good news. The bad news: scram stops the nuclear chain reaction, but it does not stop the heat. Spent nuclear fuel continues generating what's called decay heat, up to 7% of full operating power, for hours, then days, then weeks after shutdown. This is exactly what happened at Fukushima in 2011. The reactor was shut down, but without cooling water, it still melted down. Without continuous human management of cooling systems, most nuclear plants worldwide would experience core damage within days of losing grid power. Many have backup diesel generators, but those generators run on fuel. Without humans to resupply them, they run dry. The result isn't a nuclear explosion, let's be clear, but it is 440 simultaneous Chernobyls, releasing radioactive contamination into the atmosphere, groundwater and soil across most of the northern hemisphere. You survived the grid failure. You solved the water problem. You found food. You kept your mind intact. You avoided injury. And then, on day 14, the wind changes direction. The most dangerous thing about being the last person on Earth isn't nature. It's the infrastructure we built, now running on autopilot toward catastrophe. So here's what we know. You'd likely survive the first 24 hours easily. The first week, probably if you're smart. The first month, statistically unlikely without extraordinary preparation and luck. But here's what we don't know, and what scientists and survivalists genuinely argue about. What if you had 6 months of warning? What if you knew everyone was leaving and you had time to prepare? Could a single motivated, resourceful human actually build a sustainable solo existence on an otherwise intact Earth? There are people right now, preppers, survivalists, and off-grid homesteaders, who claim they could not only survive but thrive in exactly this scenario. They have specific plans, specific locations, specific sequences of action, but there's a question underneath that question, one that haunts every person who's spent real time thinking about it. Even if you solved every physical survival problem, Is a life completely alone actually a life worth surviving? Because here's what we didn't fully explore today. The psychology isn't just about going crazy. It's about meaning. Humans don't just need food and water and shelter. We need purpose. We need an audience for our existence. We need to matter to someone. Would you fight to survive alone for decades? Or is there a point where survival itself becomes the thing you're running from? That question doesn't have a clean answer. And we're going to go much deeper on it in the next video. Every single threat we covered today, the grid, the water, the food, the isolation, the nuclear plants, has a real-world defense, a real plan. And in the next video, we're building the actual 30-day survival blueprint for exactly this scenario, location by location, hour by hour. But here's what I need from you right now. Drop a comment below with one word that describes how you'd feel waking up alone on Earth. Just one word, that's it. I read every single one. And your answer might actually shape what we cover next. One word, drop it below. I'll see you in the next one.